Hello everyone, it's me, Kamare, and today I'm going to be ranking every Cuphead boss. I just finished it the other day, and this list is my opinion is going to be worst to best, and difficulty won't really matter. But if it's a boss that's I don't like because of its difficulty or something like that, then it will come into play. And this took a while to do, so if you guys like it, make sure to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. And without further ado, let's go. At number 40, Mr. Chives. This is my least favorite boss in the game, for many reasons. It just doesn't work. It really doesn't. And this dude, I should have won too, twice, and I died when I was trying to get footage for this, so it cemented him in my least favorite spot. And boy, this dude. Okay, so you have to match these cards. It does not. I like that. I like that. Okay, I like the idea of matching cards in a boss battle. This is not the way to do it. It really isn't. And yeah. Okay. So he moves around the place, and it's annoying, and you have to keep dodging him. You have to parry the cards. If you get it wrong, then he's going to move even faster, and you just have to do enough damage to him. And it's just a very annoying fight, and plus, this is the longest King Dice mini boss by far. So if you get this, you're not going to be able to beat King Dice, and he's the last one too. He's number 9. And oh man, this dude's horrible. He is horrible, and that's why he's number 40. I deserve it. At number 39, Dr. Cal's Robot. So, Dr. Cal's Robot is my second least favorite boss because of how stupidly hard he is. Okay, I know not everyone thinks he's hard, but it's basically the opinion, is basically the correct answer that most people believe in, that he's the hardest boss in the base game at least. And I had to get footage from his simple mode version because I did not want to put myself through pain. I already tried a couple times, and this is just to get footage for a YouTube video. So yeah. But why I don't like him? His first phase I think is actually really cool, and that's why he's not my least favorite boss in the game. And I think that his second phase, as long as you know how to make it short, it's not bad. But his third phase, it's just so much happening at once. It just is too much. It's it's annoying. At number 38, the Bishop. You know, the pawns used to be here. Oh boy, did they move up a lot. Yeah, let's just say after getting footage for the video, my opinion on the bishop changed a lot. Not in a good way. Yeah, he's my third least favorite boss now. Sure, he's just a mini boss, so he deserves to be low on the list, but I used to like him more than the pawns. I mean, they're very simple, but this annoying boss. Sometimes I realized I refight him so many times I learned that his head could spawn right on top of you. Did you know that? Yeah, I bet you didn't because no one really spends much time on this boss. Oh, but I don't know why, but I kept dying to it, so I kept retrying. But it is fun to parry his head. And the ending, I mean, look at it. It is glorious. You'll see in a minute. But it's like it makes you feel like you beat him so hard. And he starts flying around really quickly at the end of the fight. And shoots out a lot of those annoying ball thingies. Whatever they are. Boom! Number 37, Mangosteen. Why is he Mangosteen? I know they want to give him a better name than just, like, Magic 8 Ball or something, but make it related to an 8 Ball. Make it related to at least Pole or something like that. Like, nothing to do with Pole is Mangosteen, I don't think. Mangosteen, I think, is just a type of like, tropical fruit or something like that. I don't know. It's like something related to that, I think. I don't know, okay? I just know he shouldn't be named that. Okay, so I used to think he was like really hard, but now that I know how to dodge things, he's pretty easy. But fix his name. Number 36, the Queen. The Queen got beat by the pawns. Yeah, you might be thinking why. Well, the Queen has, I believe, the least amount of health of all of the um, King's Leap bosses, even though she's the last one. Although, that doesn't mean she's easy. It's kind of annoying to make the cannon balls hit her, but once you do, like, you're probably going to kill her pretty quickly. And her, like, egg attack thingy, I think it's a reference to some monarchy or whatever, is okay to dodge, I guess. It's kind of hard. And then the variable stack alliance that she spawns is just fun to dodge. Overall, just a meh fight. And easily one of the easier bosses in this game and one of the not as good ones. Oh, also, she's the only one of King's Leap fights that has her own theme. At number 35, the Pawns. Ah yes, the most basic of all of the King's Leap main bosses. And also, what I believe it holds the record of the quickest possible mini boss in Cuphead. Because this clip is only about 40 seconds long. Very short. Although they are annoying to beat sometimes, but fun to jump around and parry their heads off. For 34, we have the Rook. The Rook is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest King's Leap bosses. And it was harder when I tried getting footage for it again. Harder than I remembered. But it's fun to knock heads back down of his victims, I guess you could call them. Karma. We talked about Karma. It's just fun to kind of play basically tennis with him. I guess it's not really tennis, but hey, I wanted to be so. Yeah. I also think that his knockout animation's pretty funny when his head falls out of his little castle thingy, the geeky neck collar thing. And overall, I think he's an okay King Sleep boss. That's that. At number 33, Fear Lap. Fear Lap is one of King Dice's mini bosses, and let's just say that I think he's pretty good. He took me to a location that it took me a while to get to him for the footage. To get the ghosts, the ghosts will come up and you have to kind of just dodge out of the way. And he'll show a presence with horseshoes, but they're crazy. At number 32, Hoppus Pocus. Hoppus Pocus is another King Dice main boss, and I say he's okay. He's definitely not my favorite. He's probably meh. I don't really like getting him. If I'm going to roll a King Dice main boss in that area, I'd rather get Pip and Dot or Fear Lap. I just can't really, because some of his attacks I just don't know how to dodge easily. Like some of the rapid skulls there in a weird angle. So for that, he's here. At number 31, Chip's Bet again. Oh, this is the second time attempting to do this voiceover. You know how boring it is to talk about poker chips flying at your face? Smoke bomb or mischance? Charge or spread? All the things I just listed there makes this boss fight easy. Character design? Boring. Random cowboy hat? Also weird. Is he easy? Yeah. Is he a King Dice main boss? Yeah. If he wasn't, would he be worthy of this game? No. No, he would not. Just be grateful that you made it into this game. That's all I can say. At number 30, we have the Tipsy Troop. The Tipsy Troop is overall a kind of meh boss. Or King Dice. They're the first one on the roulette, the table that you can roll. The bomb dude is the hardest. Back one is okay, and the front one is not hard at all. Once you take out the bomb dude, you're completely safe. Unless you aren't paying attention, then the back one's going to kill you. But overall, it's kind of just a mini boss, little packish, kind of mid. Don't really have to put too much effort into it. At number 29, Mr. Wheezy. Oh yeah, 3 King Dice mini bosses in a row. Am I sorry? Nope. Mr. Wheezy is a cigar. Yeah, self-explanatory. His attacks are at least interesting to dodge, and you can sometimes mess up if you aren't paying attention. And other than that, as long as you know how to dash in between items, objects, the flying cigar bats shouldn't be hard, and as long as you just bring something that does damage, it isn't hard either. At number 28, King Dice. So, because of how long King Dice's main boss gauntlet is, I wasn't able to get through this actual fight against him. So instead, I just am showing you a clip of him just standing here in the background of it before you roll dice. So King Dice, he is really annoying. He has a really hard attack to dodge when you have to um, basically parry over and over again on these cards while he's and it's so hard, and it's even harder with Chalice. The one time I was able to beat him, I had like 8 health, and then excuse me, and it came down last second, and I used my super when I had 1 health left. At number 27, the Knight. The Knight is a fun fight because of one. I like the background. It's got the best. I'd say it's got the best and coolest background out of any of the King's Leap fights. It's also my favorite King's Leap fight, and that's because I think it's really fun trying to get in there and hit in a bunch. He also has the most health out of the King's Leap fights, and overall, he's just the best. There, I said. Although it is annoying that he thinks you stay really close to him, otherwise he does that little annoying hand motion thing and doesn't let the fight continue. So even if you're not trying to get too far away from him, he might just start doing that. But once you learn how to stay close enough for him not to do that, it's not that annoying, but still. I like his attacks when he dashes, as well as it's always fun to see if you should go in for the hit when he puts his sword up short for a short time, and you might be able to hit him for a minute. But overall, he's not too hard. I'd say either the bishop or the rook is the hardest, although he is a good challenge. And you're going to need all of your health to be able to survive. Although, tip if you are stuck on it. I've learned that when you get hit, because you have invincibility frames for a minute, go in and hit him as many times as possible. At number 26, Pippin Dot. My second favorite King Dice main boss. Pippin Dot is a fun challenge without being hard. Does that make sense? None of the King May bosses are that hard, to be honest. Except the last 3 are pretty hard. Hoppus, Pocus is kind of hard, I guess. But back to Pippin Dot. I like the character design. It's pretty funny, having each side of the domino being its own personality, and the spikes on the ground and wall really help it be tricky for people who just start the King Dice fight and to land on this don't really know how to dodge very well. At number 25, Piruletta. Piruletta is the number 7th King Dice main boss. Because she's a main boss, she's easier than most of the bosses, but she is my favorite King Dice main boss because of 2 reasons. One, I think she's pretty good difficulty if you don't have Smoke Bomb or Miss Chalice, but if you do, it's still fun to dash through her legs, I guess, and all you need is just a homing attack weapon like Crack Shot or Chaser or Roundabout, and you should be good. Overall, easy fight, but a fun one. Number 24, the Angel and Demon fight. So this is a secret boss from the DLC, and while I do wish it was a bit different in my eyes, if I made a secret fight, it wouldn't be like this. But that's up to me, and I do think that it's really cool with the changing the attacks based on which way you're looking, and it does trip you up the first few times you do it. But that being said, they have a really little amount of health, I feel like. For being a secret boss, I don't know if that means they're supposed to have less health than like one of the main bosses in the game, or if they're supposed to closely resemble a mini boss more, because I feel like they just have a tiny bit more health than most mini bosses. If you just have like a targeting shot, like crack shot or chaser, then you should be good to just dodge their attacks. At number 23, it's Scoopy Legrand. Scoopy Legrand is the first of the two bosses you can choose to fight first in the game that is on the list. The other one is a lot higher, surprisingly. Scoopy Legrand is annoying. He is not the one I chose first, which I'm grateful for. So, to some people, Scoopy Legrand is a lot easier. Now, when I play this fight, he's not as hard as he was. But when I first played Cuphead, this boss drove me insane because he was a moving, bouncing target. Do you know how annoying it is to hit something that's moving all the time? I had to get used to aiming, which in the game, the first boss that I fought, they stood completely still. And most bosses in the game early on stay still. Later on, they'll start moving. But even then, most of them might still stand still for most of it. That really did help my skills. But that's besides the point. His design, while basic, I do like, which is a bonus. And he's not annoying as well. He just was back in the day. And now I can beat him with relative ease, although he's still the harder out of the two first bosses. At number 22, Wally Warbles. Oh man, this bird. This first phase I think is pretty easy. Actually, I think it's pretty fun. It just feels, I don't know, something about first phase just feels fun. And he's like, I like him being he's kind of just simple. Just simple design. Oh, cute little birdie. Little birdie. But don't let his birdness fool you. For he is an evil plain boss fight. Not because he's a plain boss fight. No. Because starting at his second phase, he starts shooting feathers like this. You see this? Huh? You see this? Yeah. This is like Dr. Cal's robot, basically. In my opinion, it's a bit easier. Because it doesn't go on for as long and it doesn't have as harder of a point beforehand. I mean, you could say Dr. Cal's robot. Plus, it has bigger gaps. Okay, just Dr. Cal's robot's worse. But that doesn't matter. His stupid son. I hate his son. His son is the worst. It's so annoying. You just have to survive for so long. I mean, I swear his son has too much health for being just a random face in his fight. Like, his son. His son takes over one super to defeat, and because of how small he is, like, your EXs aren't really going to be that useful against him. And he's just annoying. We can all agree on this. He's an annoying bird. Birds should go extinct. No, don't believe me on that, okay? The birds should not go extinct. But maybe his son shouldn't grow up. That's all I should say. But my hate for his son aside, I think he's annoying. An annoying bird. Birds are annoying. This fight gave me PTSD of birds. I think they're annoying creatures. But enough of bird talk. His last phase is simple. He's now on a stretcher. He shoots out his heart sometimes. He's got no feathers because he wasted all of them by shooting them at you. Bird things. Very much bird things. Very much bird things. Yeah, very much. Also, it's really creepy that the bird, like, medics or whatever, are trying to salt him and pepper him. Like, they're going to eat him. That's creepy. At number 21, Jimmy the Great. Jimmy the Great was the first plane boss in the game that made me realize that I'm not that good at plane bosses. Jimmy the Great is the other boss on the list that I there's two bosses on the list. One is later, and this one is first on the list. And I'd say he has the contender for the worst music in the game with someone else that you'll see later. But Jimmy the Great, I do like about him is I like all of his phases. They're actually pretty cool, except for that stupid, like, annoying stack area, which is tied to the health of the sarcophagus. Which, by the way, with the sarcophagus, I have, as you can see here in the footage, you can easily cheese it by just, like, figuring out where he shoots his eyeballs and just be right there on top of the screen. Then you can just use your bombs and cheese him the entire way through. And for the puppet phase, there is a secret phase in this fight that you can do. It, in my opinion, both ways are basically the same difficulty. And then for the last phase, it's just you fighting Jimmy head on for, like, the first time in the actual fight. Like, you just fight all of his weird creations most of the time, and then at the beginning it's mostly you just dodging his attacks while hitting him. So, it's a weird fight. And then Jimmy's big, so, like, rockets can hit him a bunch of times, so. Although I think Miss Chalice's rockets would be really good on him because they go down, and he's, like, a really tall thing, so I think Miss Chalice's rockets would, like, basically kill him immediately. At number 20, Beppy the Clown. Beppy the Clown is an annoying boss, to say the least. He's probably it's not the worst boss about to, but he's definitely not as good as some of the other ones, although that isn't saying much, because I believe already we've talked about Wally Warbles as well as Jimmy the Great, so he's just above 2, he's above 2, and he's below 2 of the two bosses. The most annoying part about him is the roller coaster that comes around. His attacks are really easy to dodge, except for the stupid horse phase. So his different phases are simple. First one, he's trying to ram you with a bumper car. The second one, he turns into a balloon, and you have to fight balloon animal dogs. And the third phase is when he's on a donkey horse thing, and it shoots horseshoes. And then the fourth phase is when he turns into one of those spinning things that isn't like a Ferris wheel or like a I think he calls it like a tumbler, so I think it's a tumbler. And on that phase, spread's really good to get up close, damage him, and use spready X's. So but Duffy the Clown overall is pretty annoying. I do like his music, fits in really well. the stupid penguins that throw tennis balls or whatever in his fourth phase are really annoying. So that's something. And Peppy the Clown overall is hard boss and annoying. At number 19, Rippy and Crooks. Rippy and Crooks are another IO1 boss, and they're frogs. They're brothers. If you thought that was all I had to say about it, then you're wrong. Rippy and Crooks' first phase is tricky at first. I would argue this is the hardest boss on Inkflow IO1, but that's just because of their last phase. Their first two phases just put them up there with like Cacnea Carnation and Hildebert. If you're bad at playing levels like me, I could also argue Hildebert's harder, but kind of just your preference. They have three phases like most bosses, and the first two phases attacks. Ribby shoots throwing punches while Croaks spits out fireflies. Second phase, Croaks spins really quickly, blowing you towards Ribby while Ribby shoots planets. In the last phase is the main reason I don't like this fight. If the last phase wasn't so hard, then I'd probably put the fight higher up. But the last fight, no matter, it's really luck based and it's so annoying. So the last phase is they turn into a slot machine, and there's three different types of things you can dodge. It's random which one you get, but the only one I'm good at is bulls. Snakes sometimes gets annoying, and tigers is horrible. So that's why Ruby and Crooks are at number 19. Also, the music's really good. At number 18, Baroness von Bonbon. Baroness von Bonbon is a unique boss. She's split up into two phases basically. Her first phase is when you have to fight 3 of her main bosses, and the next phase is when you have to fight her. So she has 5 main bosses. You only need to fight 3, but there's 5 that they can choose. There's some I like more than others. I'm going to rank them real quick. They don't get their own spots on this like some other main bosses, just because these ones are part of her fight, like a staple of it. King Dice's main bosses are kind of all important and separate. So her main boss ranking is at number 5 is the muffin / cupcake. Then it's the waffle, the gumball machine, the candy corn, and the jawbreaker is my favorite, just because his attacks are easier to dodge and they're funner. So let's talk about Baroness von Bonbon herself. First of all, her music's okay for the entire fight. It's not my type of Cuphead music, but I still like it. And then her attacks are pretty interesting. Well, interesting in the way of they're hard to dodge at first, but once you know how, they're pretty easy. And she only really has 2. She throws her head as well as her candy castle, which is out of peppermint. That is Baroness von Bonbon. At number 17, Ruma Honeybottoms. Easily the silliest name in the game. Okay, this game's pretty silly, I can't. But what I can say about this fight is jumping up all the time is annoying but unique. Let's just be grateful only one fight. The first phase with the cop is pretty easy. I like to use Lobber for it. Which, by the way, this is one of the only other fights in the game that Lobber is useful in, like, as a necessity. I also like to use roundabout in this fight. The second phase with actual rumor honey bombs and her weird and wacky attacks is pretty fun. Probably the best part of the fight. And the music in this fight, it might be the contender for one of the worst boss fight music in Cuphead. But as for the final phase, it really is just can you do tons of damage before the phase starts? Because of the long transition, if you don't get enough damage in beforehand, you're pretty dead. Because this phase is tough. But if you can, you're free to go. At number 16, Calamaria. Calamaria is, I believe, Calamaria is my second favorite plane fight from the original game. And let's just say her ghost attack can throw you off very easily. Her she can summon a turtle, a seahorse, which is actually a horse in the sea. It's like hilarious. And I believe that's it, I think. But then for her, she can also grab fishies. A red and yellow fish. Yellow fish makes a little fish that like circles around you. Alright, she can also summon little puffer things. And then her third summons a red fish that can shoot fire will fire out you. Then for her second phase she can freeze you, and there's electric eels that shoot electricity results at you. As long as you like take care of the eels and just pay attention and dodge, it's not that hard to dodge them. And usually she won't freeze you when you're like right in front of one, which is good. Although sometimes she will, and if that's the case, just save up enough health to be able to take a few hits. And with her second phase defeated, you only fight her head, and it's very short, and you should be okay as long as you just don't hit like the walls or the ceiling or the floor and stuff, and you pay attention to things. Should be good. And it gets real scary if you didn't have a lot of health left. Like me, I got down at 1 health here, and I just hoped for the knockout. At number 15, Glumstone the Giant. Glumstone the Giant is a giant with gnomes. Oh, these gnomes. The gnomes are annoying. They're the most annoying creatures in the entire world, and they are the people who wake him up from his slumber. They're the people who make him spew pot stuff at you. They're the people who... Okay, enough about the gnomes. Let's talk about Glumstone Giant. He's actually pretty cool. And he plays with little puppets of the Devil and King Dice, which are kind of funny, but truthfully, I want to know why. Is it just because I don't know, there must be some reason. But, I think it's weird that, okay, so the last phase, he eats you. It's weird. You have to fight his insides, something in his stomach, I don't know the name of, but, it's kind of tricky, I guess. I survived for like a really long time first time I tried it, so I don't think it's really that tricky if I survived for like ever. But you know, the thing to know if you aren't noticing which one's like a cue to know which one is going to let its tongue and you can parry it to let the other ones up the bone. At number 14, Mortimer Freeze. Mortimer Freeze is a ice wizard cult leader dude. Yeah, he's kind of creepy, but his fight is pretty fun. His first phase is probably my least favorite just because some of the attacks to dodge are kind of annoying. But and especially those icicles, I wish he just dropped them like straight down instead of trying to move them around place. This abominable snowman's kind of creepy and it is pretty cool. And I like how his hat is like a bucket. It's kind of just funny. Anyway, the ice cube attacks from the refrigerator and popsicles that it shoots out are actually kind of hard to dodge. And the spikes, as long as you just know how to dodge them, is pretty simple. And him jumping around the place is, as long as you just pay attention to the cues, you should be able to dodge it. And then for the final phase, I can usually get it done with like one hit point, like it buff. It's really simple. Just really have to dodge all the things. But overall, him in his little um, snowflake form, he's not that hard. And when he shoots out his eye, it's not that hard dodge, as long as you're just not underneath or on top of it. And then I'd say the buckets are the most annoying, just because they shoot these like unpredictable things that come out of them that look like moons. At number 13, the Howling Aces. So, let me just say for a minute, the animation time it must take to make the background moving is so cool. But, besides that, the Howling Aces are... I thought they were going to be harder, to be honest. They're not really that hard. To be honest, all the DLC fights didn't really take me that long. I feel like the one that took me the longest was Esther Winchester. But besides that, she's higher up on the list, so we'll see her later. But the Howling Aces have 3 phases. They have one with the Bulldog, which is like, I guess, I don't know, mean players are playing with the little pupper dogs in it, and the pupper dogs say bow wow at you, and it hurt. This word hurt, just like with Hildeberg's fight, which is also a bit higher up on the list. And then you get the screen flipping nonsense, as well as the laser beams of death with the big dog. And I'm guessing she's probably the captain of the Howling Aces or something like that. But the screen flipping nonsense, you have like there's several different things you can choose to use on it. I just picked one and it worked. So, hey, it just takes some time to get used to a bit. But overall, the Howling Aces isn't too hard. At number 12, we have the Root Pack. So, the Root Pack is so high on the list because of a couple of reasons. Number one, it was the first boss I fought personally over Goopy Legrand, and I really liked it. And it made me excited to be able to see what was going to be next in the game. So, it has that going for it. Number two is that I like the characters. I like the potato onion, and carrots personalities, as well as I like just the design, the music, Volcanic Panic, amazing, as well as I like the moves that each boss of the bosses use in the root pack. I like the potatoes dirt balls you have to jump over. I like the onion, Ollie Bulb. I like to dodge his tears. It's a just right now amount of tricky for a first boss. And I like the carrots that the carrot dude shoots, and you have to dodge his lasers as well, which is also fun. Although if you ask me, there is a different laser attack that I do like to dodge better, and that's because you can parry one of the things. But that's for a later boss fight on the list. And there is a couple downsides though. It's not that hard at all because it's the first one of the first bosses in the game you can choose, and as well as because it's one of that, it's not got a lot of health. So that's why the repack's at number 12. At number 11, the Phantom Express. The Phantom Express has 4 different bosses for each of the different phases. The first phase, which has the Blind Spectre, is probably the easiest for sure. This fight has a unique mechanic of you being on a trolley that is next to the train, and you have to carry things that flying pumpkins drop to make sure that you don't move, and you can also parry the wheels to make it move. Next is the second phase, which is against the Phantom Express conductor, Skeleton Dude. Then we have the third phase, which is the I don't know what these things are. I've heard people call them lollipops. I think they're related to the engine somehow. There's something. That's all I know. But I'll call them engine spew lollipop. Those. Yeah, there's 2 of them. So spread's the best for them. Spread's also the best for skeleton conductor. Roundabout's the best for the blind spectre, and then for the last phase, any which is the fighting the actual head of the train. I'd say any homing attack would be the best. Although for me, I usually just use either roundabout or spread. So yeah, I say with what's going on the last phase, it's the hardest is the shortest, which is good. I wouldn't want it to be any longer. And every time I attempt it, it feels like I survive just barely. You have to parry the tail of the train, which just starts running around like a horse. And then you have to just hope you do enough damage to its heart. With fire falling out and it shooting out little ribs, bone, wheels of death. It sure is a hard fight, that's for sure. But overall, I love it a lot. That, and it's got spooky tunes. The Fam Express. At number 10, Hildeberg. Just beaming out the Phantom Express in the top 10 spot. My first boss in the top 10 is Hildeberg. For being my favorite plain boss in the original game. She actually is pretty good. I definitely play her over any of the art plain bosses in the base game. And I like it. So the things I like is that her music is pretty good. Her I like that she transforms into different constellations for her different phases, and then so that's fun. She's also the boss that took me the longest out of Aisle 1, so in my opinion, she's technically the hardest, but that's just because I'm bad at playing bosses, but I'd say for most people it'd be Radiant Crooks, although some people like to say that Cagny Carnation's harder, but to be honest, Cagny Carnation, I think it's hard, but he's not too hard. And Hildeberg is, as you can see, I'm using Cuphead here instead of Chalice because of for Hildeberg, the rocket EX move with Cuphead is really good because when she pops her head out like that, right there, she gets tons of damage. So that's like the trick, is to use it there. And this boss also took me forever to get footage for because it wasn't like forever, but it was long, and that was annoying. But overall, Hildeberg's a pretty good fight. At number 9, Sally Stage Play. Sally Stage Play is probably the easiest Owl 3 boss. There's not really a competition. I mean, Werner Vermin isn't that hard either, but Sally Stage Play was the easiest for me, no doubt. And she was also a pretty easy one to get footage for. But that is just besides the point. What the point is the theming. Sally Stage Play's character isn't really that interesting. But what is interesting is none other than the theme of her being on a play, you fighting in a play. I don't know if I like it so much because it reminds me of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and that's like my favorite game of all time. And you fight on stages in that game, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that Sally Stage Play's whole fight is based off of different acts, the curtains closing, and I don't even really watch that many plays or go to the theater that much. Like, I go to movie theaters, but like, that's different. I don't watch like operas or plays. I've never watched like a Shakespeare play or something like that. But yet, I just like something about this. It's just so cool. Especially her third phase. I like that everything's paper cardboard cutouts. It's pretty cool. And then her last phase is short but rewarding for if you're able to make sure you don't get hit, then it feels good about yourself because it's at the end, so it's like you didn't die. Yay! At number 8, Captain Brinybeard. Oh man, I love this fight. I like that Captain Brinybeard summons different fish friends to help him. I like that he's a pirate. I like that he has a boat with a face and eyes that throws him off in the last phase. Plus, I like how easy it is to get parries on this fight because of him shooting these little squid octopus pellet things. So, if you're wondering how you can hit him easily, like, he is high, but like, you just need to jump and then just use something like charge or use just like a targeting shot. Like, it's pretty easy to him if you use the right shot. And I like that all of his phase transitions, he's like one of the bosses in the game that you can't really tell his phase transitions very well. Because unless you're in the last phase, it doesn't have any visual difference from the other ones. It's just he'll get new attacks, which is pretty cool. His third phase, his ship starts shooting cannonballs while he uses his first phase attacks. His first phase, he only uses his octopus. His second phase, he calls him fish friend. And people will say, "Ew, it's so annoying!" Yeah, it can be annoying, but I mean, as long as you just pay attention to the top of the screen, what you're going to be, because you're shooting at Captain Braggybeard at the top of the screen, you're pretty safe. Overall, pretty great fight. Plus, I haven't listened to the music in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of. I think it's okay. From what I remember, not my favorite by far, but still pretty good. Also, can I just say it's cool when you're fighting the ship that you're fighting. It's Uvala, I believe is what it's called. I don't remember, but and it shoots a laser. That's pretty funny. At number 7, the Moonshine Mob. I was going to say Moonlight Mob accidentally. The Moonshine Mob is a genius boss theming design inspiration choice. Because of Cuphead taking place in the 1930s, Prohibition was still going on. So that means that having a boss based off of a mob selling moonshine during Prohibition and the cops trying to attack them is a very interesting idea. I also think it's the only boss in the game where you're not the main person they're fighting. And they're like they're fighting you, but like when you come they're already fighting the cops. So that's pretty cool. Um I think that I love its music and I love the character designs and I love the overall theming of it and the different phases feel perfect together, as well as it's the only fight in the game that's a fake knockout, and that's pretty cool as well. Overall, I actually really love this fight, and I think it's definitely one of the more challenging ones from the DLC. To be honest, that animator section always gets me. Although I have never really been got from the fake knockout because I already knew about it when I first played it, but when getting the footage, I actually did about put down my controller afterwards. But with that, it's finished. At number 6, the Devil. The Devil's the final boss in the base game, and he definitely is a good challenge, but he's not the hardest. Dr. Cal's robot is harder for sure, but the Devil's still a really good challenge, and I think that he's worthy of the final boss, and he's a good time. His goat like arms attack is going to trip you up at first, and then I hate his staff attacks, the bubbles bouncing around and unpredictable things I can usually dodge sometimes, and the fireballs are just annoying, and then his minions are annoying. I like to use charge for his first phase to get it done quickly, as well as because you have to hit his head. It's pretty good to just aim right at him. And then when he moves on to the second phase, I switched spread so I can get a bunch of damage in on his face. And basically, you just have to, if he shoots out one of the parryable bomb bats, definitely parry that. It's going to be good parry as well as you don't want it to explode. And then in his third phase is annoying, so just do as much damage as possible with your spready X's, and you have to dodge the little imps as well as the henchman next on your side. And then with that, you're on his last phase. And all you have to do now is very simple. Just damage him as much as you can and defeat him. At number 5, Grim Matchstick. Now, I know what you all might be thinking. Grim Matchstick at number 5? This dude is freaking hard. And yes, he is very hard. It took me a very long time to be able to beat him. But when I did, it felt very accomplished. I felt very accomplished. But the thing with Grim Matchstick is he poses as being very hard, but once you finally learn how to beat him and platform at the same time, then he gets easy. Okay, no, of course I'm kidding. It's that you need to use Slobber and Charge, and if you don't use those two, you're probably screwed. Is it kind of mean that bosses forcing you to use two? I mean, no, not really. I mean, you should have Slobber and Charge. Slobber is useful for a couple other bosses in the game, plus it just does a good amount of damage. And Charge is one of my favorite blasts in the game, actually. Shots, whatever. But, enough talk. We need to talk about, for one, I love his theme, and two, after I beat him, I realized how much I love him. I love his design. I love everything about his fight. The difficulty, it's so much fun. And I had a blast playing him. I'd rather be stuck on Grim Matchstick any day than have to be stuck on Dr. Cal's robot. And that's very true. At number 4, Werner Vermin. Yes, I know some of you who have played Cuphead before are going to realize you've been pronouncing his name wrong this whole time. But for the people who have been pronouncing it right, good on you. Why wouldn't it be Werner? Okay, he's German. It makes sense. Plus, Vermin, he's a rat. Okay, enough of this topic. Who at Studio MDHR thought that it'd be really cool to have a boss fight against a rat in a soup tank? It worked so well. It really did. I know for a lot of people this fight's forgettable, and to be honest, how could I forget this fight? The music, it's amazing. The character, the design, I love it. I love it so much. Even down to the name being spelt Werner Werman, but it makes sense to pronounce it Werner Vermin. I just love it so much. Plus, I really wonder if he was part of World War One. The signs are there. And then there's Katzenwagen, which eats him, and spoiler warning, well, this whole video is a spoiler thing, so if you're watching this, you probably knew about the spoilers, but the spoiler warning is, it is actually being controlled by Werner. It's just so amazing, and that's why, plus I love his music, and that's why Werner Vermin's number 4. At number 3, Chef Saltbaker. Chef Saltbaker is the final boss of the DLC, and boy, oh my. Okay, so let's just say your heart will never recover from fighting this guy. Chef Saltbaker is one doozy of a fight, and in my opinion, one of the hardest fights in the game. I still would say argue that Dr. Cal's robot is probably, I don't know. I'm better because I'm better at ground levels. I'd say Dr. Cal's robot's harder. But if you're bad at you're not as good as if you're better at plane levels, then you'd probably think Chef Saltbaker is harder. And for the final boss we're probably ever going to get for Cuphead content, it's a really good fight. And I really love the difficulty. I love his attacks and his phases. Let's go through them. For phase 1, he's mutilating tons of ingredients, which all are the ones you've collected throughout your entire journey in the DLC, which is good detail. Number 2 is in his second phase when you fight him against pepper shakers that shoot at him while he's dropping leaves at you. This phase I think is pretty fun to crack that stupid smile off his face. Sorry. And then for the third phase, it's very short, but it's good to just give you a breather for a minute before the hard roller coaster you're about to go through. So you go and he's dancing as just two little salt creations. Then he comes and his heart is ready to strike. You have to jump up platforms like in the Rumor Honey Bombs fight. That's right. It brings back one of the most annoying things, moving platforms during fighting. You need a homing thing for this, otherwise you are so dead. If you weren't using a homing thing, you're probably going to take forever. Crackshot is better than Chaser for a lot of reasons, but if you only have Chaser, use that. And versus him, it's funny. Versus his heart, you're going to get a heart ride. And with that, the final boss of the DLC is knocked out. At number 2, Esther Winchester. Esther Winchester is my favorite playing boss in the entire game, as well as in the DLC. But because she's the only boss in the DLC, she's also technically my least favorite, but hey. Because she's higher up on my list than lower, I consider her my favorite playing boss in DLC more than my least favorite, but if you want to, you can. The reason she's my favorite playing boss in the game is because I just have fun while playing her. All the other ones, most of the time I'm not much a playing boss guy, but with Esther Winchester, it's actually fun to do for me. Hildeberg, I'd say is still fun to do, it's just she can be annoying. Esther Winchester, even if it takes me a while, I'm going to like playing with her. Esther Winchester also is probably the silliest. No, okay, there's so many silly bosses. Well, I keep saying the silliest on so many different bosses. But she is probably one of the silliest transformations ever when she turns into hot dogs. And then you have to fight her when she's hot dogs. And then she turns to a can of hot dogs. So it's just hilarious. And as you can see, it also takes me very much long time to be able to beat her every time. Like this attempt was won in a long amount of time. And it took me forever. But it's always satisfying to defeat her, and she's a very fun boss. Also, she's a cow and cowgirl. Okay, I'll stop talking. At number 1, we have none other than my favorite boss in the game, Cagney Carnation. So, is Cagney Carnation still from first album meaning he's pretty easy? Yeah. Is there something wrong with being easy? I mean, if you want a hard challenge, I mean, he's not the one, but he's still a fun time. And let me say, two of my favorite things about this fight, it's hard enough to be fun. His music, Floral Fury, slaps. And also, I really like his design and his attacks. Everything about this fight I love. And plus, it's the only fight in the game. I don't know if it is the only fight in the game. It feels like the only fight in the game. Maybe it is. I don't know, but it's the only fight in the game that has two phases. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, mini bosses don't have any phases. It's just one phase. But so I guess he's not. But I don't know. I still like him. He's still my favorite boss in the game. Thank you all for watching this video. And if you liked it, then make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned because we're going to be posting more Cuphead content in the future as well as tons of our fun gaming and other things related content. And we'll see you next one. Goodbye.